Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Welcome to New Life Live. This is a great day. A couple of reasons, maybe three. Dr. Jill Hubbard's on the program. Dr. Jim Burns is on the program. And it is the official publication date of Every Believer's Thought Life, subtitle, Defeating Destructive Mental Patterns to Gain Victory Over Temptation. And I've had such a great response. I actually have had people that have interviewed me, they've actually read this book. And so often, they just read whatever the questions are. And it's been very, very fulfilling. Marcus Brotherton, my co-author, who we wrote Kirby McCook and the Jesus Chronicles together, won Book of the Year. He was just at a writers' conference, and he said, this is the book everybody wanted. Mm-hmm. So, and it's not just about lust and things. Some people, you're plagued with worry. You're plagued with shame. This is the way not to be plagued. It's an anti-plague book. So please, if you want a copy, you could buy it for $15 or you could make a donation to New Life, newlife.com. But it really is about everything. Our thoughts determine attitudes, our feelings, our actions, and we get caught up, we get stuck, and this is the way to get out of getting stuck.
Well, and Steve, I reviewed your book, and I think it's wonderful, and you're right. It starts in our brains, doesn't it? And how many of us overthink everything and get locked in, and when we're just inside our own heads, well, that can be disaster.
Yeah, and secrecy and silence about our struggles just make them worse. But this is a book that isn't just about these little surfacey strategies, right, which we have many here, like having that God thought that you go to. Another one is turning your grumbling into constant prayer. If you're like, oh, I can't believe that my wife's so this or that. So you turn that into what God wants, which is praying without ceasing. Lord, here I am again, thinking about the negative thing about my wife. Lord, be with her. I hope you'll help her. Help me accept her. Help me to work on me. So now I'm praying and I'm focusing on God, not on my wife's problem. Those are the kind of things that we have in here, in addition to dealing with the root causes of some of these faulty thought patterns. Jim, do you have a thought there?
I was thinking this morning, I was in my small group and we talked about, my prayer request was actually that I would have a mindset adjustment. Because I think, when the Bible talks about that you renew your mind for good, and what I hear you saying is there's hope for those of us who sometimes need those mindset adjustments. And you know what? It is in the area of the tough stuff, too. What I appreciate about you, and I appreciated about what you do at New Life, but also, Steve, what you write on, is that you write on the tough stuff. And you write on, and then we see people have these amazing breakthroughs. And, it's been fun for me to, as your friend from, for 100 years, I always say I'm your only friend and your best friend from, our 20s. But the truth is that to hear the testimonies, Jill, that we hear people who have, had a mindset adjustment or they were dealing with pornography and now they're whole. It's an amazing story of transformation these years. And so thank you to you, not only for writing that book, but thank you for doing what you do.
Well, my son was with me, and we went down to the front of a church and talked to the pastor. And the pastor says, in front of Solomon, oh my goodness, do you know the only reason I'm in ministry today is because of every young man's battle?
Wow.
He said, at 18, I read that. It changed everything for me. Now, who gets to do that?
It's awesome.
It's just such a great joy, and it's not a perfect book, but it sure has transformed a lot of lives, and thrilled about that. But this one is Every Believer's Thought Life. People say, what's it about? And I say, it's about everything, because our thoughts are so much a part of everything.
My husband was involved with a pornography addiction. He was unfaithful. I called the wedding off. He stepped out on the marriage and ended up having a child.
The Restore Workshop is designed for a woman dealing with a man's sexual addiction issues.
My husband is a recovering sex addict. We're strip clubs, other ladies.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Workshop will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
Restore has empowered me and has given me the tools to work through my anger, work through my pain, work through my confusion, and help me realize that I am worthy.
Being here and being surrounded by people who get it has given me my power back.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Orange County, California, February 24th through the 26th. To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or online at newlife.com.
Thank you, Restore. You have changed my life forever.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Our phone number, 1-800-229-3000. Dr. Jim Burns is on the program, and he's going to be joining us. We love working with Jim. I've worked with Jim for, how many years do you think it is, Jim?
150 years.
Yeah.
150 years.
Yeah.
But transforming relationships with your adult sons and daughters, that's our Courageous Parenting April 1 online workshop with Jim. And if anybody has noticed anything about this program, there has been an exponential increase of difficulties with adult children and how they cut parents off from the grandkids, all this kind of stuff. We're going to help you with that on April the 1st. Also, I want to mention one more thing about writing. If you're part of Club New Life, we'll mention this later, our next gathering, I'm talking about toxic tribal affinity. And that's the book that Marcus Brotherton and I, who just wrote Every Believer's Thought Life, that's the book we're working on now. And you know what that's about, Jill, Jim?
Yes.
Toxic tribal affinity.
I love that.
It's about people that are in a tribe, let's say a group of counselors, and they absolutely don't want to be an outcast. So even though they know that certain things, sexuality, gender identity, things like this that come and go, they don't want to stand up and say the truth because they don't want to not belong to their tribe.
Wow.
So the tribal affinity, they actually either enable or perpetuate lies that are extremely not just dangerous but deadly. Of course, the big example of this would be Hitler and people going along with him, knowing how in the world can we justify killing all these Jews? But the only way I survive and not be sent to Siberia is to go along with it. And then all of a sudden
It's
I go
aligning
from...
with the bully,
Exactly.
right?
Yes.
So that you're not the one bullied.
So we're going to talk about that in our Club New Life gathering. We'll tell you the date later. But if you're not a member of Club New Life, you can join. It's $35 a month. But right now, let's go to the phones. And when I say phones, it's 1-800-229-3000. Let's go to Dion. And she's calling from Los Angeles. And she listens on that great online version of us. I thought it was going to be KKLA, but she listens online. All right. Hi, Dion. How are you? And how can we help you? And I'm so glad that you called us.
I'm so glad that you're here for me as well. God bless you all. I love your show. My husband and I are ministers, and we've been married almost 3 years, and we've had 5 marriage counselors. And the last, who was really awesome, a former pastor, he gave me an article called Toxic Relationships Between a Narcissist and an Empath, which I have figured that out already. And so it has been physically abusive at times. He almost killed me once.
Oh, my goodness.
I finally moved out about 4 months ago, but, with hopes that we could grow and get to the point to where the arguments aren't as volatile. And so that hasn't worked out too well. And now I found out that he's on a single site. So I'm just trying to
So he's
looking for some-
Dion, he's a
some
pastor, and you've just been
No,
married.
he's a minister, not a pastor.
Oh, okay, a minister, and you've been married 3 years.
Almost, yes, ma'am.
Almost, okay, and he's already on single sites. I'm so sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
what kind of minister is he? Well, how does that work?
Well, you have ministers in the church,
Mm-hmm.
like ministers. So he's got a couple of degrees, a couple of doctorates. There's a lot of stuff in school, but he hasn't been able to work in that actual field, and I believe it's because of his lack of empathy that shows up in the interviews.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
And
what is the
so-
question for us then?
Just want some guidance as the best way to pursue. I still want the marriage. I'm praying I want to have that balance between having faith in God and reality. You can have faith in God and say He'll save me, but you don't want to jump off a cliff. So
Now let me ask you this.
Let
me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
How does your faith in God do anything to help him change? That's your faith. Your faith helps you to want to do the right thing, right?
Yes.
But your faith is not going to impact his behavior. It may help you survive. It may help you get stronger through this struggle, help you be wise. But if anything's going to happen with him, I hope you get my point here, it's not you growing in your faith, it's you growing in your wisdom and courage. So it's going to be what you do or don't do that's going to help or not help. And the reason I'm saying this is a lot of people don't do anything because they say, I have faith in God. Well, you can have faith in God, but that's presuming upon God that He's going to jump in here and fix it for you. And so don't do that. Let's figure out what's the best path for you with a narcissist who's on a singles dating site. Jill, why don't we start with you?
Well, Dion, I'm guessing that part of what drew you guys together, you being an empath, you carry the emotion in the relationship, and that's very attractive to someone that feels hollow inside and lacks emotion. But and then the narcissist is often very charming and shows a lot of strength that someone who's more emotional would want. The problem is you get married, and as you found out rather quickly, the very things that attracted you become the thorn in your side. And one thing with narcissists, it's very hard to, depending on how far they are down the continuum, it's hard to get them to recognize that they need help because it's very hard for them to own their own sense of badness, and they want to discharge it on the other. So that, therefore, everything is your fault, your problem. They don't have a problem. So, however, that being said, all things are possible with God, right? And to the degree that someone is willing to have a heart open to the Lord and to change. So I'm wondering, does he have any insight, or can he tolerate any insight about his own behavior?
Some. He has almost 30 years clean, and he's just now really going through the steps. He works hard on himself, but when we have issues that I'm bringing to his attention is when he really has a problem accepting it in the moment.
Okay.
So for instance,
Later, can he come back and say, okay, I thought about it and you do have a point?
If somebody tells him, like if he listens to his sponsor, he has done it occasionally, but really, usually it's turned around on me. Some kind of way, this single site thing became my fault. And
well,
then he
this is just
to talk about it.
Right. This is an extension
But
of his
he-
addiction. So, like, he's just
Let me say this
cross-addicting. Go ahead.
Maybe so. Let me say this much about him. He is constantly, very faithful in church. He's constantly in like listening to scriptures, I mean, all day long, you know. So that's one of the strengths that I was asking God for. You know, I've been diagnosed with bipolar myself 20-some years ago. So he's very strong in the Lord. He's always, he tries. You know, I know he puts forth the effort, but he really can't see his wrongs and things.
All right.
And then
So we want to
takes it
help
out
you
on
with
me.
this, though. And so we've got, anyway, let Jill, anything else you want to say?
Well,
I want to hear from Jim.
I mean, I think that, Steve, the workshop that we do is the best. And it's helpful because I think for men, they often don't hear things from their wives, but in a group, they will hear things and see things in other men. And so that is something I would ask of him. And then Dion, whenever you approach him about something, I think you have to start with uplifting him in the areas where you see growth, you see strength, anything close to the desired behavior, you need to affirm him in, and then bring in the thing that you would like to change or to continue to work on.
And just down the road in February is our Intimacy and Marriage Intensive. So it's there. And it's the last time that Mylan and Kay are doing that, who've done it for us for years.
And it's in Orange County,
And it's
Dion.
in Orange County, and so it's close. We'll talk to you more about that, and we'll see if we can solve any kind of financial issue if there is one. Jim, you have some thoughts here.
Yeah, Dion, I think you made a great decision to move out, to be honest. You mentioned words like physical abuse, the single site. You're not safe, or you haven't felt safe. And when you're not safe, you don't spend much time alone with him. And so you also, I think you were smart to get marriage counseling. I would suggest that you would continue that if you like that counselor and the counselor was giving you good input. Because again, without safety, you've got to be, the Bible even says, where there is no counsel, the people fall, but in the multitude of counselors there is safety. And so you want safety around you. I mean, I'm talking even about physical safety. So I wouldn't jump in because he had a one-night experience, even with where he said, "Hey, I'm different." I would do this very slow. It's called taking small steps here.
Yeah, and that's wisdom.
Yeah, and then the other thing is when you do something like the Intimacy and Marriage experience, that can be a highlight, but it can also bring out stuff that you want to hear or want to experience or want to see. And but see, you're also doing it with people who can be around you where you're not just by yourself. And is this going to work? Maybe. Is it not going to work? Maybe. And what you have to do is be open to God saying, you know what, we jumped on this 3 years ago with more issues than we ever imagined. We didn't do our premarital, if you would, work. And so you're doing it right. Don't make sure you feel safe. And I'm telling you right now that somebody who has been physically abusive to you and somebody who's already on a single site, that's not safe.
No, it's not.
No.
And, you're talking about a man, you said he's in Scripture all the time. He's got two doctorate degrees and all of these good things. So how does a person like that end up on a single site? There are two things that he is doing or using that throw him off. I'm going to send you Every Believer's Thought Life. I think that will help him. I also am going to send you Understanding and Loving a Narcissist, which will be a big help to you. But here's the thing. There are two things that cause a good old guy like this who's been sober 30 years and in Scripture and all that. One is rationalization, and the other is projection. So you were very blatant in saying he says that the single site is your fault. That's projecting his problem onto you. And that is so common, he is blind to himself. But you also have to be really good at rationalizing this. You have to go from the truth that you're hearing all the time to rationalizing how that doesn't apply to myself, or this is what I am, or this is how I've been created to be. All these different kinds of rationalizations that keep me from doing what I need to do. Open up, surrender, confess, become accountable to somebody, and try to reconnect with my wife in whatever way I can. A narcissist can reconnect, and can learn to care as much about a spouse as he previously has cared about himself and his image, and his fighting against believing how sorry a person he is. Narcissism doesn't just happen accidentally. There's a deep, deep wound there.
Yeah.
And when we can help them get to the wound and let them know they're safe to deal with that deep wound, there is some hope. But I'll send you Every Believer's Thought Life for Him, Understanding and Loving a Narcissist to You. You can get those at newlife.com. This month, a gift of any amount, I'm going to send you Every Believer's Thought Life. You can call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. If you want to join us on the program, 1-800-229-3000. Dr. Jim Burns, Dr. Jill Hubbard, Steve Arterburn. We'll be back.
It had become very apparent that some of the things I was involved with were taking over my life.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images, and traffic to online porn sites has skyrocketed. Some say that's no big deal, it's just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere.
After I found the pornography on the internet, I said, you either get help or I have to leave this household.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle workshop.
I think this is something that every man should go to. Married, dating, it was definitely life-changing.
The Every Man's Battle workshop is being held online as a one-day event Saturday, February 4th. Don't wait for him to call. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com.
Every Man's Battle was a life-changing experience for me and a marriage-saving experience for me.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I did go to Take Your Life Back. That's why I continue to support the ministry with the hope that not only am I helping my own situation, that I'm helping others as well.
You can help New Life stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of the 1-year Bible for men or the 1-year Bible for women. These Bibles combine the best-selling daily Bible reading format with 2-minute daily devotionals written to create a one-of-a-kind devotional Bible that you'll love. There are also ongoing benefits like the monthly Club New Life CD or download, access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back. You know, when we started in 1988, we had psychiatric treatment programs in psych hospitals, Christian programs. Now we do intensives. We have an online intensive called Emotional Freedom, and so many people have found freedom. That's January 21st. Every Man's Battle is online, rarely online, but if we don't put it online, some people will never come. That's February the 4th. And then Intimacy in Marriage, February 17th. If you've been thinking, well, we ought to do this, honey, now's the time, because it's the last time that Mylan and Kay are going to do it, and they've been doing it for years. Restore for women who've been hurt, February 24th. Lose It for Life is online March 18th. A lot of things. And then our Courageous Parenting with Jim on adult children, that's April the 1st. We love to be part of God's transforming power, and we are so grateful whenever we get to be used in that transformation process. If you need help, call us 1-800-NEW-LIFE. But right now, I'm going to go to Deborah from Sacramento, and Deborah has signed New Life up on her podcast feed, and anybody can. Deborah, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, my question is, should I be doing something to help a certain situation? What is my part in helping? My daughter is a recovered alcoholic for about 8 years.
Okay.
In the course of her alcoholism, we raised her daughter from the time she was 6 years old, and now she's nearly 18. I was wondering, and the relationship is sort of, I wouldn't say it's bad, but the teenager really has no interest in her mother.
Mm-hmm.
Her mother is very interested in having a relationship and would like to make amends and tries in her way, in maybe sort of a passive way, but she does try to connect with that oldest daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And it just doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Well, as the grandma, what could I do to help that situation?
So to try to bring back together. Now, what's the situation today with your daughter? How's her recovery process? What's going on there?
Yeah, actually very well.
Okay.
Yeah, she's working. She's not addicted any longer. She's very active in church and Bible studies and has really done a lot of hard work to get well.
Yeah.
And Deborah, you said that she's been in recovery 8 years. So does that mean when this granddaughter was 10, she got sober?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, but your daughter never took over the parenting. The granddaughter stayed with you.
Never did.
Okay.
Yes.
So it kind of makes sense. I mean, this daughter she's 18. She's looking forward to her life ahead. You and your husband have been the parental figures, the people that she respects. And her mom has not. Her mom has not put in the time to build relationship. And so as she's wanting to launch, it makes sense that she doesn't want to go back. One of the things about us moms that I always say is we make kids feel younger because we're the nurturers or we represent that. This 18-year-old doesn't want to be younger. She's ready to go out into the world. And so I think, unfortunately, your daughter's reaping some of the consequences. That being said, I wouldn't give up. I would just recognize that the relationship for now is going to be on your granddaughter's terms.
And, Jill, I just want to jump in here and say that if anything is going to happen, it needs to happen with your daughter not giving up. Mm-hmm. That she consistently doesn't pressure, but she consistently shows care, love, concern, availability, and also if your granddaughter needs to be left alone, she does that too. So that's how you get the relationship back, is responding to the one who's been hurt or abandoned. And if I was talking with the granddaughter, I would say things like, I always tell folks that it's your job to get over your mother. And what does that mean? I say, well, a lot of people have issues with their mother. And if you don't resolve those issues, then they're with you the rest of your life. And you don't want to be a 47-year-old woman with issues with your mother. And so I would be encouraging her, do what you need to do to accept mom in some way, to not be resenting her every minute. Do what you need to do, and that'll take time. But I think if you'll get on that path, that's a better path than justifying the negative feelings that you have. Jim, you have a word there you want to add?
I would say it's going to take some time, but time does sometimes heal. We pray for breakthroughs, and sometimes those breakthroughs come immediately. Other times it's a process. This is going to be a process, and your daughter's doing great. You did wonderful by caring for your granddaughter, and now it's time for them to take those little tiny steps, but it's probably not going to be what you want immediately. It's going to be a process.
And for granddaughter to get in touch with her anger.
Exactly.
She's angry at mom.
Sure.
Yeah,
she has a right to be.
Yeah. Very good. Prayer helps always. I'll send you a copy of Every Believer's Thought Life. I hope that would be great. And then I'm going to send Doing Life with Your Adult Children. I think that's going to help you. And I'm going to send a Life Recovery Bible and a workbook for your daughter.
For
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. Chris Williams on coaching.
Oftentimes I get asked, what is the difference between therapy and coaching? The biggest difference between the two is that a therapist is going to be looking for a diagnosable mental health condition, whereas a coach is going to look at a particular issue and help a person work through that.
If you need a coach, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
If you're looking at an issue in your life that you just kind of want to change, whether it be your weight or leadership or other areas of behavioral patterns, check out coaching. There can be some really, really helpful things for you.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 and talk to us about getting a New Life coach. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back. Steve Arterburn here. And what a coincidence. At the break, Larry Sonnenberg came in. And Larry always brings wisdom and sometimes humor. But Larry, what do you have for us today?
Well, I have just a reminder that Thursday we will be doing this Club New Life gathering, the first one of the year. We're going to do one each quarter.
Right.
And it will be 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern, and we're just hoping all Club New Lifers sign up and go. You've got an invitation. If you haven't seen it in your email, please let us know. We'd love to get you an invitation.
I already told them it was about toxic tribal affinity, and it is 8 Eastern time, so I'm staying up late to do this with our Club New Life members, so really excited about that.
You can sleep in the next day, Steve.
But you have a testimony, a Club New Life
Well, yeah,
testimony.
this is a little different. There's a lady, she's a prayer warrior, and she joined Club New Life 10 years ago, and she's sent us a short note that affirmed an aspect of New Life, Club New Life, that I really love. She shared that she called for prayer once when she was beyond broken. And our staff followed up, checked on her, see how she could get help and such. And she loved that so much, she kept voicemails to listen again, and she comments about that. But then she said, I know that you're so often the hands and feet of the Lord. And Club New Life has been with me through so much. And there is an aspect of Club New Life that I love, and that is that we want to be more than just a transactional relationship. We want to be family with these folks and help and support them. And she was very affirming of that. And I wanted to encourage folks, if you're not a member of Club New Life, it's worth taking a look at this, because you can get all kinds of help, from videos to books to these Club New Life gatherings to other events that we'll be holding throughout the year.
Right.
And it's we always say it's the wind beneath our wings. It's a large monthly support when you gather everybody together in Club New Life, and we get that support each month. So,
well, it's not small. $35 a month is not small to a lot of people, but it's not small the contribution that makes to the foundation of New Life. And then when you become part of Club New Life, you're part of every person that is experiencing transformation here. We're not a radio ministry. We're not a counseling ministry. We're a transformation ministry. That's why we were started, and that's what we love getting to watch, experience, and be part of, transformation.
And I just love this testimony because it's not the one where this woman's life so drastically changed.
Yeah.
And we do a lot of those, and we love those. But this is just a little kind of a heart tug kind of feel that you can get when you belong to Club New Life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My mom was one of the
Yes,
original
she
Club New
was.
Life members and still supports Club New Life at 95, and please pray for her. She's going through a little tough time. At 95, you do have a tough time or two. Thank you, Larry,
Alrighty.
and God bless all of you who support us. Thank you so very much for doing that. Let's go to, how about we talk to Ashley, Gainesville, Texas, KWRD. Hello there, Ashley. I bet it's hard to keep weight off in Gainesville. I would just, from the Lose It for Life perspective, that could be a problem. Anyway, thanks for joining us, and how are you today?
I'm doing good, thank you. But I do need some big advice because I'm out of my league on this, and I'm not big advice. So I am a coach. God built my gym, and I run my gym accordingly. A couple months ago, I had one of my past students in his 20s come in and help me with a clinic. He is homosexual, but that is beyond the point. Long story short, I found out shortly after that he had some pictures up online that are very not good, and I don't agree with that. So I called him out on it, and I said, you will no longer be in my gym. You know that this is part of my testimony, and I don't agree with that. And that is filth, and that's from Satan. And, you can't do stuff like that. You bring it into my gym, you bring it into your soul, and that's not the way we roll here. And so he called me last week, and I was like, oh, why is he calling me? And so, because he had kind of lied to me about it. Mm-hmm. And he called me and he said, hey, I've been contemplating my life. I want to leave a legacy. I'm tired of working at Starbucks. I want to leave something here, and I want to get back into coaching. And I said, well, God loves children, and if you're going to keep doing things that Satan loves, then God's not going to bless you to be a coach, in my opinion, especially my gym. And he said, I'm not doing that anymore. I promise you, I'm sorry for lying to you. And he said, I really am growing into the light. I've gotten help with my ADHD and my anxiety. I'm taking medicine now. He was molested at a church camp. His father's a Southern Baptist pastor, so I know his history. And in my Bible, I've been reading the one-year Bible, and it was like, blessed are the peacemakers, and that was my sermon. And I prayed to God, and I said, God, this is really serious stuff. So I need help to try to, pull him out of this darkness, or help. He's on the path. So he said, it really hurts me that I've not been able to talk to my parents. And over Christmas, it was hard because only one of my siblings called to wish me Merry Christmas. And I said, I understand that, but you have to understand they had to distance themselves from the way that you were. And so with that said, he said nobody would mediate. And I said, I know that you're into this new age stuff, but if you come coach with me and you show me that you're not lying, I said, I'm going to be praying over you all the time, and I'm going to be talking about Jesus, and I'm going to get you back to Jesus. Or I'm going to have, I'm not, but Jesus is going to get you back to Jesus. So I said, you just have to understand, if you come into my facility, that's the way I roll. And he said, I understand. And so with the parents, he said he was open to me helping him form the relationship with his parents again. So that's where I need help.
What's the question
being a mediator
for us? What's the question?
So how do I help mediate between him and his parents? Like I said, they're very Southern Baptist, and he's very homosexual. But I just want to see this family love on each other once again. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's possible, but the mom and the dad are very open, and we're completely relieved even to hear from him.
Yeah.
Like through me. So that's what I want to be a mediator. I want to help this family if I can, and I need advice.
Okay. Well, Jim, Jill, Jim, go ahead.
Sometimes, Ashley, a mediator needs a mediator. And what I mean by that is you can help him, and you're doing I love that you're loving on him and that you're caring for him. And you may have to separate it from your work, your vocation for a bit to see if he's doing okay. But sometimes a mediator means you're not the one, but maybe there's a coach or a counselor, somebody who has more of that background you're right there. You're cheering him on. Now you're cheering him. You're backing him. You're doing whatever. You have you're able to put the parents with him in terms of conversation. They trust you. That's great. But you may want to bring somebody else into it who could help help him navigate his own life. You become his cheerleader friend, so to speak, and there's somebody else who's going to help him through, what's been some tough times. You mentioned, I feel for so many people who have been molested in the church. Yep. Here he is, his dad's a Southern Baptist pastor. He's angry. The people like that are angry at God. I would be angry at God if that was the case. So can you go to the depth with him? No, probably not. But you can be his friend and you can accept him for who he is. He's God's child, and help move him to another place. But I would suggest that you may want to encourage him, and maybe you can help find somebody who would be a person who could help, who really has more of that psychological Christian background. If he's open to that, wow, you're cheering him on in his faith, and you're believing in him, and somebody else is helping him deal with some of the deeper and darker issues. Mm-hmm. That it's not your job, unless that's what you do. It's kind of beyond your pay grade, so to speak.
Well, and in essence, in being a boss and being in that role, you have something that he wants. And I love the boundaries that you are boldly setting for him, and you're speaking truth into his life. And isn't it interesting? He hasn't flipped you off and gone away. Yeah. He keeps leaning in and wanting more. So that's really a good sign, Ashley, that you're on the right path. I don't know if you said that he's gotten into therapy and done some trauma work around the molestation, because I think that's a really important piece, to have somebody walk alongside him in that, right? Yeah. And that's very hurtful. Right. Here his parents represent the church, the very thing that hurt him. I think I like the idea of maybe having someone, maybe Ashley, you and someone else who knows a little bit more about handling situations. And just the whole idea is just to facilitate them talking and them to be able to hear each other without defending their sides, right? Yeah. And there are definitely things that people have to agree to disagree on, but respect each other's positions in.
Yeah, and you have boundaries you're going to hold to, and you're offering grace and understanding to him. My brother was molested by the pastor's son at age 5, and he says it ignited things in me that never went away. We need to help this guy, and you're doing that.
We have been estranged off and on for 10 years or more, and he has a lot of grievances and anger and bitterness and hatred toward me.
Our daughter is the problem. She said, I don't want to be in your life right now.
Hi, Steve Arterburn here. Courageous Parents, Transforming Relationships with Your Adult Sons and Daughters. It's an online workshop with Dr. Jim Burns, Dr. Jill Hubbard, and me. I think it will change the way you see your adult children.
I was never prepared for doing life with my adult children. Some of our kids bumped and violated values that we never dreamed they would, and there's some principles that we can talk about.
With insightful teaching and the guidance of a credentialed New Life counselor, this one-day online workshop, Saturday, April 1st, will provide practical advice and hopeful encouragement for navigating the parent-adult-child relationship. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to register or to find out more.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here. 1-800-229-3000. We're going to do another program after this. We love being with each other so much that Jim and Jill and Steve are going to do it again. But I just want to say in closing here, Ashley, you're just an amazing person. You gave him a second chance. You've got these great boundaries. I do like what Jill is saying, that if there's going to be a good outcome, I think it starts with him getting help from someone that specializes in trauma, because molestation is a trauma that needs to be dealt with, and there are people that specialize in that, and that can be the beginning. Then, if that relationship with that therapist is strong and solid through treating the trauma, that I think they will be the great link back to mom and dad. I think that's what does need to happen. I'm going to send you a Life Recovery Bible and the workbook that focuses on sexual integrity, and I'm just going to suggest that you give that to him as a resource for him, and then I'll also send you Every Believer's Thought Life, because this is the day of its publication, and I want everybody to have a copy, and I'm so glad that you called. I've got time for one more call on this program, then we'll do the others in the next program. But how about we talk with Nay from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and she listens on Sirius XM, channel 131 at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Nay, how are you? Don't have a lot of time, but I did want to get to your call.
Hi, thank you. Actually, I'm in a pretty deep anxiety and depression right now since Christmas Day.
Okay.
I was married to a man. I've called in twice before. I was married to a man for 40 years that is a narcissist, and he has a lot of selfish tendencies. Did not involve me in a lot of his life with his business.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, what I'm dealing with is I found out on Christmas Day that since like last summer, he has been seeing another woman. He started dating. I'm having a very tough time with this because he and I were the only ones that were ever together. It's just killing me to think that he is with someone else, and even though we are divorced, and I still love him. I still have feelings for him, even though what I went through, I think he still has feelings for me. But I just don't know what to do. I've started going to a new counselor. I pray and pray. I tried to get my mind off of this. He has every right to go ahead with his life like I do. But I just, I wake up, when I see that it's daylight, I don't even want to function.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me tell you, let me give you a couple of things. We so feel for you. How in the world do you just say goodbye to someone after all these years, you divorce, and then it feels like they don't even care about you? And so I'm gonna send you this Every Believer's Thought Life, because I want you to be able to live free of obsessing over him. Now here's what I think needs to happen, and then I'll have Jill and Jim join in. But I think you have to go through a real live grieving process with a counselor where you're able to express the anger, the sadness, the disappointment. You're able to feel it deeply now and resolve it now, so that not only do you get through that, you get over it and you get beyond it. A lot of people get through things, but they don't get beyond those things. And that's what I want for you. Now, the other thing is, if you do this and it's not all horrible, negative experience when you think about him, who knows what might happen with that. But here's what I do know. You deserve to be free in your thought life, and you can experience that no matter what he does. Jim?
Yeah.
Jill?
I have a word for you, a phrase, before freedom comes pain. And do everything you can to work through that anxiety. When Steve said the word grief, that's part of the depression and anxiety. And by the way, that's normal. I mean, my goodness, you just said 40 years and already there were problems and narcissists that you were married to.
Yeah.
And so what we pray for you is that you do get freedom, but to do that, you'll have to go through pain. Don't do that alone. Make sure that you come alongside with a good counselor. You'd mentioned, a counselor. Ask that counselor to take you through the process toward freedom. Now, you're not going to experience that the first time you have a conversation, but that's what you want. And the way to do that, unfortunately, there's no other way to do it, but it's to face some of those fears and face that anxiety and depression. Make sure you're getting taken care. Your anxiety and depression is also getting taken care of. I mean, just say, what can I do for that? Get help for that. Actually, even before you deal with the grief. And my goodness, 40 years grief. That's a huge amount of time.
Well, that's more than half a lifetime.
Exactly.
Right? Because you don't sound like you're 80. And so, and even beyond the 40 years, it sounds like you got divorced, but you still had him. So I think, Nay, you're dealing with realizing you no longer have him. And when you're in relationship with a narcissist, you really get sucked into revolving around them. And so losing him is almost like withdrawing from a drug. It's so painful.
So true.
And so you need as many places and people to help contain you. So therapy may need to be more than once a week. Go to groups like Love Addicts Anonymous. Go create a support group. You need
Women's
people,
Bible study.
Yes, people around you so that you can tolerate being in your own skin.
Mhm.
And then perhaps medication might be helpful too.
A temporarily
yes.
help to get you back on track could be very good. Now, I'm going to send you a couple things. I'm going to send you Every Believer's Thought Life, because you're the person we wrote this for, so that you are not destroyed by a regret or a memory that just simply won't go away or die. And because in there, it's not just strategies on the surface, it's dealing with trauma also. So I'll send that to you. I'm going to send you a Life Recovery Bible along with the grief workbook, and suggest that you do enter into a formal grieving process with a counselor. And I so hope and pray that something we've said and something that you're going to do will help. What you have to do is aim for an emotionally free life, no matter what he does. If you could join us January 21st for emotional freedom, I think that would be a great benefit to anybody else, whether it's in the fear area, anger, bitterness area, shame, those kinds of things. We can help you find a path to freedom. Every Man's Battle is online February 4th. But let me just leave you with a wonderful thought for every believer's thought life. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. Now that's Isaiah saying that so many years ago. There is a path for you. There is a river in the midst of all that dry bone existence. God is a God of mercy, hope, and grace. Lean into him today, because he loves you like crazy. He is for you. He delights in who you are. And if you don't feel that delight, get the help that you need to feel and experience that. God bless you. Thank you, Dr. Jim Burns, and thank you, Dr. Jill Hubbard. Thanks to all of you who listen, watch, and pray. Hang on, we'll get to your call, and if you want to join us, 1-800-229-3000. Gift of any amount, we'll send you Every Believer's Thought Life. Call us.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.